My friends and dear viewers, greetings. I hope you are all doing well. We are back with you again, with one of the greatest animes of all time, none other than the Demon Slayer anime. So, get yourself ready and prepare for a dose of excitement and destruction for today. Let's begin the story. We see Hashira, the Snake, and the Mist, along with two trainees, gathered at an old abandoned castle. And the worst part is that it is filled with demons, living as if they are kings within that castle. That's why Hashira the Snake and the trainees with him, if they were sure that the demons had kidnapped the innocent people from the village. The trainee initially tells him that they are absolutely certain, because yesterday, we were searching for one of the village girls and we traced her footsteps to this abandoned castle. But the strange and horrifying thing is that it was empty inside and there was no trace of life. And Hashira the Wind tells him that the ground must have swallowed her, so it's clear that you are a bunch of idiots and the demons easily fooled and deceived you. And when the other trainee asks him to forgive him for doing his best in his arduous search, Hashira the Wind tells them that no, and another girl also disappeared from the village today. The other trainee tells him that the Demon Slayer Corps was monitoring the village 24 hours a day. So Hashira the Wind tells him that after all these events, he doesn't expect them to even protect an ant. And Hashira the Mist, unaware, hints at the demon who kidnapped the girl from the village and is rushing to the village with full speed. And he tells them that it's clear we came at the right time. And from here begins the crazy chase between the demon and the Hashira. The demon runs at full speed until he reaches the gate of the abandoned castle and stops after noticing that the team members are chasing him. And he says that he should have killed them last night before they realize that the castle is abandoned. After the demon escapes into the castle, the Hashira who was chasing him arrives, and they storm the castle, fully prepared to confront the tyrannical legions of demons. The terrifying thing is that the castle is actually empty at first, but suddenly, a demon appears from the darkness and attacks one of the trainees at an incredible speed. But Hashira the Snake, with a single glance, cuts off the demon's head with his absolute mastery and saves the trainee at the last moment. On the other side, Hashira the Wind also saves the trainee with him and decapitates the demon. But the shock is that a huge number of demons appear from everywhere and attack the Hashira one after the other. Of course, these weak demons cannot overcome the Hashira, and they are killed, to the extent that the place turns into a massacre from the number of demons that were killed. It is clear that the novices are unable to deal with the demons and their preparations. That's why Hashira the Snake asks them to return to the village. Perhaps they can protect it this time. The novice realizes that he cannot leave him in the battle and flee, but Hashira the Wind tells them that they are just weak and do not know how to take their comfort in the battle because of them. After the flight of these fools, Hashira the Snake tells Hashira the Wind that you have certainly noticed what I have noticed, and that this castle is not just an abandoned castle. Hashira the Wind realizes that this is the first time he has faced this number of demons in one place. Their conversation is interrupted by the cries of the girl asking for help, and Hashira the Wind rushes to the second floor of the castle without hesitation. Without preamble, he finds an army of demons in front of him, awaiting their new prey. But Hashira the Wind uses the second form of the wind-breathing technique, known as the Purifying Wind Claws, and in a scene full of grandeur, the heads of the fallen demons fly off, and their limbs are scattered everywhere. The entire army of demons is wiped out, but the endless demons exploit the moment and advance to attack Hashira the Wind again. At that moment, Hashira the Snake appears and uses the fifth form of snake breathing, represented by the sliding snake, which continues to reap the heads of the demons one after the other. After that, Hashira the Snake asks Hashira the Wind not to let his guard down next time. Hashira the Wind tells him that no one asked for your help, and I alone am capable of eliminating 1,000 demons. At that time, the demon who kidnapped the girl sees the remains of his comrades who had vanished from the place, and he is terrified of their strength and guesses that they are from the Hashira. During his escape from the floor, the girl screams, and Hashira the Wind chases him and orders him to leave the girl and kill himself before he catches him and shows him the hell. But a number of demons block his way in a narrow corridor and prevent him from passing, but he eliminates them as soon as he swings his sword right and left, and he bypasses them all. The terrified demon, in order to escape from the Hashira, jumps from the castle. But again, he finds the demons everywhere, and they turn towards him. So Hashira the Mist reaches him and asks him to rescue the girl and leave the demons. He will eliminate them himself. Hashira the Wind tells him that it's good that you tell me that, because I was already fed up with cutting them. With the departure of Hashira the Wind to pursue the demon who kidnapped the girl, Hashira the Snake excels and uses the third form of snake breathing, jumping into the air and luring the demons, crushing them with his mythical strength until he destroys them. And at that time, we see the girl who never stops her constant screaming. The devil takes her and hides behind a new group of demons on the roof of the building. After Hashira the Winds finally reaches the place, he tells him it's best for you to surrender because it's impossible for you to win even if you gather your weak followers. The foolish devil doesn't surrender because he doesn't want to die, and a group attack by the demons occurs. But Hashira the Winds uses the fourth form of Breath of the Wind, and with legendary power creates a tornado that rips the demons apart and turns them into cascades of blood. So the devil tells him, "Wow, man, those fools died in a disaster, and if you want to save that girl, be quick before she turns into small pieces," and suddenly throws the girl off the castle. But thankfully, Hashira the snake arrives at the last moment and saves her. "I don't know what we would have done without you, Mr. Obanai. The important thing is that the devil loses his only means of escape and jumps from the top of the castle, and both Hashira the winds and the snake pursue him and jump after him. But they are amazed by the sight they see as they fall into a secret hideout of the demons, a moving castle full of demons of all kinds. The demon they are pursuing hides in the heart of one of the moving rooms at the heart of the castle. Despite this, Hashira the winds does not surrender or feel fear or panic and attacks the demon and tries to stab him, but the demon laughs in his face. Suddenly, the door of the room closes and the entire moving castle disappears from the place as if it never existed. When they come out into the real world, they find the castle they were walking in a while ago completely destroyed and on the verge of collapse, and they don't understand anything or what they saw. And the treacherous demon who escaped them, who is he? And my dear viewer, the situation is messed up, and they can't locate him again away from the castle and its crazy, unimaginable events. We see Kano returning from her mission and going to meet her teacher, Kocho Shinobu, and the insects recognize that she has successfully completed her mission. And Hashira the insects tells her about the disaster that happened in the village of the swords. With the help of both Hashira of water and Hashira of mist, and of course our protagonist Tanjiro and his beloved Nezuko, the team successfully defeated two of the upper moon demons. Moreover, Nezuko was able to overcome the sunlight and now stands freely in the sun. Due to these events, there will be major and significant developments in the future. Most likely, Kibutsuji Muzan, the leader or king of the demons, will send the strongest demons to kidnap Nezuko and steal her ability to withstand sunlight. You also know that they have decided to hold a Hashira meeting to discuss all these matters. Finally, she smiles and asks Kanao to take care of Nezuko until she returns from the meeting. Lastly, we see our protagonist Tanjiro recovering from his injury and sitting with Giyu. He asks Giyu about the condition of the Sword Village residents and learns that they will relocate the village after the invasion of the demons. Tanjiro reflects on the devastating battle he had with the upper moons and the immense power they possessed. Giyu informs him that the core is building many empty villages to be used in emergencies like this, so the Sword Village residents will be able to relocate without any issues. Of course, all the credit goes to the core leader, Kagaya, and the other Hashira. Giyu then tells Tanjiro to at least wait until he can get up from the infirmary bed before eating so much. And Tanjiro, he tells him not to worry. The food will restore his health and make him strong. Of course, this was advice from the Hashira of love. They have nothing to do with her. Goto thinks about the Hashira of love and says that she really eats an amount of food that can feed a country, and it doesn't show on her. He informs him that the Hashira of love and the mist have been together for a very short time and were able to regain their health. So Tanjiro tells him that's why he respects them very much. Goto secretly says to himself that you, Tanjiro, will also be like them and will solve our corpse's budget. Of course, Goto tells him to eat as much as you want, but the most important thing is to regain your health in peace. Tanjiro is unable to speak due to the amount of food in his mouth. While Tanjiro is speaking unintelligibly, Goto asks him about the rumors that have spread about his sister Nezuko. He explains to him that what happened to her is something amazing, as she has now gained the ability to walk normally in sunlight. Goto tells him that it is amazing, yes, but at the same time it is very dangerous, because Muzan will pursue her in order to obtain her ability. Tanjiro, who loves his sister more than himself, tells him that there is someone investigating what is happening to Nezuko, whether she is regaining her humanity as he hopes, or her demonic genes are beginning to evolve. Goto asks him about the person who is helping to uncover the truth about his sister. Tanjiro, with a kind heart and honesty, tells him that it is the doctor, Tamayo. Suddenly, the food stops in Tanjiro's throat, and he is about to die. Goto tells him to take it easy on the food a bit so that he doesn't die. As for Tanjiro, he thanks God that he didn't reveal everything to Goto unintentionally. Goto knows the rest of the events that are happening, that the entire core is in a state of emergency because of his sister, and that the Hashira have decided to hold a meeting together. Speaking of the Hashira, we see them all sitting together, and Hashira of the Wind and Hashira of the Snake join them, apologizing for their delay to the meeting. Hashira Ogi Oyama tells them that there are no problems and thanks them for completing the mission. After everyone takes their seat, Hashira Wind tells Hashira Love and Hashira Mist that he heard they fought and defeated two of the upper moons alone. Hashira Love tells him that it was a bloody and grueling battle, and she thought they were going to die, but they succeeded in defeating the upper moons through cooperation. Hashira Wind says he wishes wishes he could meet an upper moon like them, but unfortunately, there's no chance of that. Hashira Snake tells him that there is nothing they can do, as meeting the upper moons is extremely rare. He then checks on the health of Hashira Love and Mist. Hashira Love says she is starting to recover. Hashira Love has warm dreams about Hashira Snake's kindness, while Hashira Mist tells him his health is improving, but he hasn't fully recovered yet. Hashira Rock, with his weeping eyes, interrupts them, saying that losing any other Hashira would put the entire Corps at mortal risk, but their survival after defeating the upper moons is already a great achievement. Hashira Bug says their recovery seems abnormally fast compared to the others who participated in the battle. She asks them to explain exactly what happened in that battle. Hashira Water interrupts, saying that Lord Kagaya will surely explain everything to them, and there's no need to rush. Finally, the person leading the meeting arrives, and it shockingly turns out to be Amani, Kagaya's wife, not Kagaya himself. This is because Kagaya's health has deteriorated significantly, and unfortunately, he will not be able to meet them even in the future. All the Hashira are shocked by the extent of the sacrifice Kagaya is making to prevent the most evil demon, Muzan, from surfacing. They understand that they will follow Amani's orders as a replacement for their lord, and they fervently pray for Kagaya's swift recovery, even if for just one day. They also ask Lady Amani to be strong and up to the task their lord has entrusted her with. Amani thanks them for their prayers, acknowledging that this news must not have been easy for them. The important thing is that after the demon's appearance, she was able to overcome the light of the sun. Surely, Muzan will exert every effort to control her, as he wants to overcome the light of the sun as well. Imagine with me that the nightmares and their demons appear to you in the morning as you walk in safety. I believe that if Muzan acquires this power, it will be the complete end of the world. You understand that there is a comprehensive and very large war about to erupt between the Hashira and the Legion, and between Muzan and the rest of the demons. Amani is talking to Hashira of Love and Mist, telling them that she knows from the crows that during your fight with the upper moons, a mysterious and unique mark appeared on your bodies. She asks them to let her know the conditions that helped them acquire this strange mark. When the Hashira of Love and Mist are surprised by Amani's words, she explains to them that in ancient times, the swordsmen were one step away from destroying Muzan and getting rid of him, and they were the owners of the first breathing technique throughout the ages. And of course, the Hashira hear this and are shocked on the other hand, because they are supposed to fight Muzan with their strength and using these marks. Amani tells them that she knows that some of you have heard similar information to what I am telling you now. The Hashira of the Wind says that he has never heard this before, and Amani without hesitation tells him that there are very many people who have chosen to train and torture themselves so that the mark appears to them, but in the end, they became mad about it. In addition, we do not yet know enough information about these marks, as they may not have been important in the past, or because the Legion was about to be exterminated by the King of Evil, Muzan, and could not produce offspring with this mark. But the only information we are certain of is that when one person appears with this mark, the people around him will have marks as if they are affected by him in unknown ways. The daughter of Mr. Kagaya hands them a notebook for the first one who used the first breathing technique, and this notebook contains his personal information and memoirs. She continues her words and confirms that the first person on whom the mark appears is, as everyone expected, our legendary hero Tanjiro. But the pitiful thing is that when they ask Tanjiro, he just sits there talking to them like a madman. He tells them that he himself does not know the reason for the appearance of the mark. After that, and without any introduction, the mark appeared on two of the Hashira. That's why we hope that the two Hashira will help us and tell us all the details about it. The Hashira of Love lives in her rosy dreams and tells them that she will also tell the details of her life if they want. When she notices that everyone is looking at her and her exaggerated actions, she tells them that after she obtained the mark, her body became very light and her movements became very agile, and she has more enthusiasm than before. The matter is devoid of details and information, and she turns into a small child talking about her imaginary heroics. Of course, no one understands anything, and they are shocked by her explanation, as they had fled from Tanjiro's explanation and said that the Hashira of Love is the one who will give us the solution. But she is not better in her explanation than Tanjiro. Afterwards, she apologizes to them if her explanation could not be of any help to them. The Hashira of Mist tells them to leave her and Tanjiro alone, and he will tell them everything. He explains to them that he does not remember exactly how he got the mark, but he will tell them about the events of the battle, as they may be useful to them. He says that in the battle with the demons, he was poisoned and completely immobilized. With great suffering, he tried to stop the spread of the poison using the breathing technique, but a child tried to save him and was about to die. Because of him, a group of memories from the past was restored. Suddenly, he felt overwhelming anger and lost control of his emotions to the point that his heart rate exceeded 200 beats per minute, in addition to his body being literally about to ignite. The lowest temperature his body reached at that time was 39 degrees Celsius, which is enough for anyone to die from its severity. And the Hashira of insects, it says, well, and how did you move in the midst of all this torment? In Hashira Mist, it recognizes that he moved because this is the critical moment that will determine whether he is a person worthy of living with the mark or will die in gloom before completing the test to obtain it. This is the difference between those to whom the mark appears and those to whom it does not, because those who fail lose their lives forever. Amani asks him how he knew his temperature reached 39 degrees. In Hashira Mist, he says that when he was being treated in the palace, he contracted a fever and his temperature was 39, and at that time, he felt the same sensation as the mark, which was that his body was about to explode from the intense heat and ignite. Hashira Love confirms his words, but Hashira Wind does not believe the matter is that simple. With the sudden downpour, Amani tells them that the Hashira's urgent mission is to obtain the marks as soon as possible, and the rest of the Hashira agree with her words and ask her to reassure Lord Kagaya that they will not disappoint his trust in them. After Amani leaves the meeting, we see the Hashira still sitting together, but Hashira of Water tells them that enough time has been wasted here, and he will leave now. Hashira Wind asks him not to hurry so they can determine their roles and organize themselves for the future. However, Hashira Water tells him to do everything they want to do together and take him out of this whole big night. Hashira Snake tells him that he has forgotten that he is a Hashira like us and has responsibilities. Or does he want to deceive us and leave to train before us? But Hashira Water ignores his words and leaves without responding to him. Hashira Insects asks him to at least tell them the reason for his departure. However, Hashira Water tells them coldly that he is different from them, which is why he will leave. As for Hashira Wind, he is very angry to the point that his veins are about to burst with anger, and he tells him if he thinks he is better than us or what. But Hashira Love tries to calm the atmosphere and asks them not to quarrel with each other. But while the Hashira of the water leaves in silence, the wind cannot bear its anger and launches an attack on the water. At that moment, the stone intervenes, and with just a clap of its hands, it shakes the entire place as if there is an earthquake shaking the earth. It then asks them with its tearful and majestic face to stay in their place so that they can continue the meeting. On the other hand, we return to our protagonist Tanjiro, who is busy eating and thoroughly enjoying his time. In the middle of his meal, Guto asks him about the 3 children and his sister. Tanjiro informs him that since there are no casualties in the hospital, the children are busy playing with Nizuko since she has regained her ability to speak. Guto ponders for a moment and tells him to be careful not to get involved with the obsessed Zinsu with Nizuko. At this time, Zinsu, whom we mentioned, is returning from his mission to the hospital. As he is walking and enjoying his time, unfortunately, a piece of wood falls on his head. One of the children sees him and calls the rest to welcome him. Zinsu then begins to wail and complain about his condition, saying that he was about to die more than once. But fortunately, it turned out well, and he tells them that they would surely mourn his death. The 3 of them at the same time tell him that his death or life does not matter to them, but it is good that he returned alive. At this moment, Aoi also comes out of the palace and intersects with them, encouraging him in his mission. Zinsu tells her that he knows she must be worried about him and waiting for him to return from the mission, to which she gives him a firm response, telling him that she does not want to see his face at all. Of course, Zinsu stands for half an hour without being able to speak, but the thing that makes him move crazy is that he sees Nisoko standing in front of him. Not only that, but it also welcomes him very kindly. Of course, Jintosi is extremely enthusiastic, and his face turns red. His lightning also shocks the whole place out of embarrassment. Jintosi cannot stand the beauty and sweetness of the Nisoko and is literally on the verge of death. With insane speed, he goes to grab the Nisoko's hand and asks her what happened and how she was able to talk to him. While he is flying with joy, he tells her that she must have resisted her demonic qualities and trained to speak for him. Nezuko, who doesn't understand what this person is doing, tells him to please remove his hand from her, trying to push him away, but Gintosi has already lost his mind. He tells Nezuko that she was beautiful under the moonlight, but she is even more beautiful under the sun's light. He tells her that he will be her servant even after they get married, that he will cook for her and wash her dishes as well. But Nezuko gives him a kind smile when she calls him Inuski, and everyone is stunned for a few seconds. The love-struck Jintosi keeps repeating the name Inuski on his tongue in shock. Suddenly, his features change by 180 degrees, and he asks them about Inuski's location so he can go kill him and get rid of him. At this time, Goto asks Tanjiro about Inuski's location, and Tanjiro tells him, "My boy, I don't know anything. You see me lying on the bed all day, so have some patience." However, Inuski was here in the morning, so Goto tells him that Inuski probably brainwashed Nezuko to make her say his name. Tanjiro tells him that it's not important now, but the important thing is whether there's any more food because he's starving and dying of hunger. Goto tells him that in that case, he'd better eat him instead. After that, Tanjiro's swordmaker comes to them, and Tanjiro welcomes him and asks about his his injured leg. He's limping, and his condition is poor, and he looks like he's about to die from exhaustion. Despite this, he goes to Tanjiro and hands him his sword. When Tanjiro sees it, he realizes that the sword is made with the handle of Hashira's flame. Tanjiro is very happy and does not know how to express his gratitude to the swordsmith after he completed his mission of restoring the sword. Afterward, Goto asks the swordsmith to sit down because his body is trembling and he looks like he's going to die. After he sits down, he speaks with difficulty and tells Tanjiro to look at the blade of the sword. When Tanjiro opens it, he is amazed and notices that the color of the blade has become blacker than before. The swordsmith tells him that the quality of the iron used to make this blade is very high, and the owner of this sword must have been a legendary and very powerful person. Tanjiro tells him that the word destruction is carved on the sword, and the swordsmith explains to him that the person who made this sword made it for the sole purpose of destroying all demons, to the point that he erased his name from the sword and wrote the word destruction. He also tells him that the ranks of the Hashira were established after the creation of swords of this kind, and the Hashira swords are the only ones that have the word demon slayer on them. The anxious Tanjiro tells him that the sword must be amazing, but he doesn't remember seeing the word destruction on the sword during the battle. The swordsmith angrily tells him that at that time, he knew the sword had not yet been treated and needed to be adjusted, but Tanjiro took it and used it like a madman, and the sword was still resisting. Tanjiro apologizes to him, and the swordsmith, who intended to kill Tanjiro, tells him that he is still injured, and his tears have flooded his workshop, and he explains that he is in pain because Tanjiro took the sword to the battle. So he had to redo everything he had done before and pinches Tanjiro's face. Goto tells him that when it comes to injuries, Tanjiro is no less than him, and almost all the bones in his body are broken and crushed, and the swordsmith tells him that he will kill him too. The sword maker, after getting tired, grabs Tanjiro's hair and tells him that the talk won't work on him anymore. From today, he has to bring him the delicious rice dish that he loves until he dies. Tanjiro tells him to calm down or he'll get a stroke and die. He assures him that he will get everything he needs. When the sword maker is about to leave, crying because he worked despite his injury, we see Tanjiro thanking him and telling him to take care of himself. After the swordmaker leaves, Gato tells Tanjiro that he heard his personality is very strange, but this is the first time he's met him. Tanjiro tells him that the swordmaker was very calm today, probably because he's in pain and doesn't know how to yell at him or fight. Ginny, lying next to Tanjiro's bed, tells them to stop, that they are the most annoying. Tanjiro apologizes for the disturbance, but doesn't finish his sentence. We find Inosuke barging in, laughing and dancing crazily. Tanjiro asks him what he's doing, and Gato, in his outrage, says that if Hashira's insect sees him, he'll kill him. Ginny wishes he could be transferred to a different room, not this asylum, and cries silently in the corner. Inosuke keeps dancing, as the collective training program is about to start. When Tanjiro asks him what he means by the training program, Inosuke confidently says he doesn't know either. On the other side, we see Hachiroba planning the training program for the core members. After their long discussion, Hashira's insect explains to them that they have completed most of the training plan they will implement. Hashira's wind asks her about the duration of the training and when they will start. The rock Hashira tells them that they will start it after 3 days, and although this period is short for them to prepare, they have no more time than that, since they do not know the next Mozan's plan. They must prepare in every possible way and as soon as possible. The snake Hashira tells them that the demons have also begun to move and attack the villages again, and it will be difficult for us to face their numbers alone. The love Hashira asks them about the contingency plan if the demons attack them during training. The rock Hashira tells them that all the demons will most likely try to kidnap Nezuko, and they will focus on her, and also from the day of the Battle of the Sword Village, the demons are hiding well. In the past, we were only training our direct students as Hashira, but now we have an opportunity to train the entire Legion to face the demons in a very short time. And this is the most important thing we need to think about. All the Hashira agree to the training plan, except for the water Hashira, who is not even present. The rock Hashira also informs them that he is thinking of summoning the retired Hashira to participate in the training of the Legion members, and everyone agrees without any objections. We return again to Tanjiro, who is sitting with Zenitsu and is sad because he has just returned from a mission, and they want him to participate in this harsh training. Tanjiro tells Zenitsu, who has a worried and dejected expression, that if he participates in the training so quickly. Zenitsu says that he doesn't want to participate, but he will participate against his will, because all the Hashira will train them one after the other. Of course, Tanjiro is very happy and unaware of the hell that awaits them. Zenitsu angrily tells him that there is nothing good in this training, that it will be nothing but a disaster and torment. Tanjiro, who is thinking about his body and muscles, tells him that this is an extremely tough training, as it will allow us to train with people much stronger than us, and we will also develop our skills and develop develop ourselves. Zenitsu hears Tanjiro's words from here and tells him, "You want to drive me crazy with this talk or what? And I'll show you what real insanity is like." Zenitsu, the crazed one, grabs Tanjiro's head and keeps biting into it. He tells him, "It's because you'll be spending the whole training period bedridden. You want to push us into the wall? Shame on you, brother. Feel for me." Then, he leaves Tanjiro and walks away, crying. It seems Tanjiro used the breathing technique of crying on people, and we didn't know. That's why those who leave him keep crying and weeping. Anyway, Tanjiro thanks Zenitsu because in the middle of the battle, he couldn't move his leg, and that's why he used the thunderclap breathing technique that Zenitsu had taught him in the past, and because of it, he succeeded in defeating one of the demons. He tells him, "Of course I couldn't use it with the same talent as you, but our friendship will save us one day like it did in the battle. And certainly anything he learns in the Hashira training will help him in the future." So when Zenitsu hears his words, he changes 180 degrees and can't hold back his optimism. But still, he tells Tanjiro, "By the way, those 2 words of yours won't make me happy, and I'm not the one who'll fall into that trap." Zenitsu bids farewell to Tanjiro and tells him, "May God keep you safe," after just a while ago wanting to kill him. Then we see the retired Hashira drill sergeant who is training the soldiers. He runs them in the scorching heat until they are breathless, and he continues to mock and bully them, and the recruits unable to move. He tells them to consider the demons chasing them as they run, and the recruits, from so much running, collapse to the ground. The drill sergeant then tells them they are lying on the ground like dogs. He says he wants beasts in training, black in the practice. He soon loses hope in them and tells them that their training with the other drill sergeants will be much harder. In any case, the 3 wives of the drill sergeant who live together in peace and tranquility are happy because their husband has become more active than before. They try to help him in any way they can, and therefore, they decide to cook for those poor recruits before they die at the hands of their husband. Over time, the active and diligent wives prepare a huge meal for the trainees. When the voice of Hashira calls the trainees to come and eat, to regain their health, the children fall to the ground and are unable to even eat. The voice of Hashira is frustrated by their weak and pitiful level. One of Hashira's wives tells him not to be so hard on them, as they won't become dragons overnight. Hashira realizes that if he sends them to the next Hashira, he will be the one blamed, as the trainees are extremely weak. His other wives bring him food and try to motivate them to train, but there is no life in those who are called. One of Hashira's wives asks him about the Hashira who will train them next, as his role is to improve their physical strength. He informs her that they will undergo training in swift movements under the tutelage of Hashira of the Mist. He tells them not to be deceived by his unassuming appearance, as he is an extremely harsh trainer. After that, they will undergo the hellish flexibility training with Hashira of Love. Upon completing that, they will train with Hashira of the Snake in sword usage and with Hashira of the Wind in the art of endless cutting. Finally, they will train with Hashira of the Rock, who will make them lose their humanity and pull their hair like monkeys until their training with him is complete. Additionally, since the Hashira will face a tremendous number of pillar members, they will try to use the trainees to train themselves, which Hashira says is a good thing, and that he wished he could participate in the final training as well. We see Hashira of the Wind sending the children flying with a single strike, like bowling balls, and he is frustrated because his temperature remains constant and the mark won't show up for him. Hashira of Love, on the other hand, turns the children into clay that she plays with and shapes as she pleases. Hashira of the Snake keeps breaking the children one after the other, all while giving them advice about the battlefield. Hashira of the Mist fights with each of the trainees and tries to improve their weaknesses one by one. As Hashira the Rock blocks them under a waterfall of flowing water, the children cannot endure the torment and fall one after the other. At this time, Tanjiro finds a crow constantly pecking at the window. When he goes to open it, the crow strikes him on the head with its beak. The crow then gives him a message and tells him to quickly take this letter from Lord Kagaya as he wants to leave. When Tanjiro reads it, he learns that Hashira the Water will not participate in the training of the core members. At this time, we go to Lord Kagaya's residence, where he is in very poor condition. Amani, who is caring for him and providing treatment, tells him that the Hashira have begun training the other core members and that they will soon realize his dreams. Lord Kagaya calls out to her and thanks her for everything she has done for them together. Amani begins to cry, and it is clear that Lord Kagaya's condition is worsening day by day. On the other side, deep in the city, specifically in the middle of the forest, we see a house surrounded by seals and hidden from everyone. This is the home of Dr. Tamayo, who is sitting reviewing her research in safety. Suddenly, a crow comes to her and bursts into the place, startling her. He introduces himself as one of Lord Kagaya's followers. He tells her that she is an expert at hiding and that finally he was able to reach her because Lord Kagaya has become incapable of movement due to illness. When she asks him how he was able to discover her location, he tells her that he preferred to trace the relationships that had occurred between people until he reached the person who had sold her the house. The crow tells her that he does not want to harm her. She asks him what he wants from her now, and he explains that she is surely not trusting of him, and he he will not be able to gain her trust like Tanjiro did. However, the important thing is that there is a girl like you in the Demon Slayer Corps, Hashira the insect, who has knowledge of medicines and also follows the changes that are happening to Nezuko, and they want you to cooperate with her. He asks her to cooperate with the Demon Slayer Corps and help them defeat Muzan. He also invites her to visit Lord Kagaya at the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. With the tension the Doctor is experiencing, our episode ends here, and we will see what happens next time. Please support us with a like and subscribe to the channel. Bye.